Hi friend, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about a handful of items that are being decluttered for my makeup collection. Basically, as I was going through my collection to film my 2022 makeup inventory and also to pull items for my revised project pan for this year, I realized there were just a handful of things in my collection that I was ready to part with, so that I would go ahead and share them with you. So I have two lip products that I am finally parting ways with. The first is this lip topper from Jive. It is in the shade Champagne Gold. This has survived a lot of different lip declutters in particular because I just love the idea of this product, but I didn't pull it out once this year to use, with the exception of when I was scrutinizing my collection and I'd go to apply it. I am just not somebody who applies lip toppers. It's not my jam. I don't really gravitate towards it at all. So it's time to let this go. I mean, I've had this for years at this point and it's just not getting used up. So it needs to be removed from my life. I also am parting with a relatively recent addition. It is from ColourPop. It is my Nightmare Before Christmas Oogie Boogie Cream Luxe Lipstick. So I will say the packaging of this I think is just fine. Like I kind of got sucked into the Nightmare Before Christmas collection and I really feel like I've purchased this same lip shade multiple times only to declutter it every single time. I was on a hunt for most of this year for a nude lipstick. And I just truly believe that the nude lipsticks that ColourPop puts out are too brown. They are way too brown leaning for my preference and they just don't work with my complexion. And so I finally was like walking around a Macy's randomly and came across the Clinique Dramatically Different lipstick in the shade 01 Barely. And this is a much more pinker based type of nude product. And I love this on my lips. I think it is the perfect shade for me and texturally it feels great on the lips. So now that I have found like the nude that I've been looking for all year, I can stop buying and stop holding on to these types of brown nudes that do not work for me and let it go. Keeping with the brown train, I'm getting rid of a brown eyeliner pencil. The year 2021 was the year of using up pencils. I made great headway on getting through basically all but one of the lasting sample size black pencils that I had. And this was one of the last ones that I had that was full size and it happened to be brown. My issue with this is I don't really gravitate towards it very much and it's really getting dried out. Like the pencil has pulled away from the wood that's surrounding it. And when I go to rub it like on my hand, I have to really work hard to get any kind of color. I just don't think it's great for me to be applying this to my eyes. I much prefer felt tips. In particular, I love the House Laboratories brown eyeliner that they came out with. And ever since they brought that out in brown, that's the only thing I wanted to use for a brown liner. So it's just time to, I think, part with this and know that I did get really great progress out of a majority of the pencils that I had, and this one just wasn't meant to be. Additionally, I'm gonna get rid of a loose face powder that I have. I feel like I have a lot of setting powders for somebody who doesn't use them a ton. I find that I go through phases where I love them, phases where I don't love them, but I consistently never reach for this one. It's the original formula Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder in the shade Translucent Extra Coverage. So I think it's like the one that's the most neutral. I have used this not a ton, I would say. I mean, this is a huge product anyways. I feel like it would take me forever to use, even if I was an everyday consistently only using this type of face powder, but it is really heavily fragranced. It's not the greatest for me. And I'd much rather just like work on sample ones that I have and work on the one that I really, really love instead of this and not have it sitting in my collection, like staring at me. So I'm gonna go ahead and finally part with it. I'm also kicking off the year by parting with an eyeshadow palette. When I was doing my eyeshadow palette inventory video, I pulled this out to show and then I thought to myself, why? Why am I gonna keep this in my collection? I never reach for it. When I look at it, I don't find it inspiring. I'm never gonna use it for a project pan. Like, it's time to let it go. It is a Morphe palette. It's the original Jaclyn Hill Favorites collection that she came out with. Basically, when she first aligned herself with Morphe, she fell in love with their singles. And so for like a collaboration, she basically put together a palette full of her favorite singles, which looks like this. This just is not, it's never appealed to me. I feel like the metallics in here, like there are a couple of metallics like I could pull out and keep, but I have the ones that I really like in my collection already that I don't need to hold on to these in particular. And there's just so much of this palette that I don't use and won't use, and I never reach for it. Like I reach for the Jaclyn Hill X Morphe collaboration palette more than I reach for this one. It just never really aligned with my preferences. I wanted it to so badly, but I'm finally willing to let it go because I just don't need it in my collection, especially since I haven't touched it in at least a year. The last product I'm saying goodbye to might be surprising because I have pan on it. It is the Tarte Stunner Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Highlighter. This basically became my go-to highlighter once I finished off the opal one that I had from Becca. And I liked it. As you can see here, I panned it. However, it's not the Becca Opal highlighter, meaning that formulation-wise, I find that this sits on my face more noticeably. It doesn't like blend in the way Opal does, and it definitely is not as finely milled. Like you can see here, it's a lot like chunkier, and as I have used it more and more, I feel like the formula has changed. I don't think it's doing as well as it once did, and I did during the height of Becca's closing purchase a full-size opal highlighter, and as soon as I brought that back into the collection, this went back to being neglected. So I think in the end, I would rather just have the one that I like the most and kind of let this one go. I mean, I did get a lot of use out of it, but I just don't think it's holding up super well anymore. I feel the same fate is going to be happening soon with my Tarte Amazonian Clay blushes. I have two that I love that I think are starting to shift on me a little bit, maybe expire a little bit, so I won't be surprised if those don't make it through the year, but this definitely has met its match and it's time to depart. So there you have it. Those are just a handful of items, not a ton that I'm getting rid of. Like I said, I have done a really good job over the past couple of years not amassing tons of makeup that I don't like. I've really been able to like use up what I like, be very moderate in my purchasing for the most part. So I'm really happy that I don't have tons to declutter, but I felt like those were just needing to be removed from the collection, removed from the inventory before we start the year. I do plan on releasing my inventory video soon, so I hope you're excited to watch that. As always, thank you so much for being here and spending part of your day with me, and I'll talk to you in my next video real soon. Bye.